Okay, so this is lesson 4, and I'm going to do 2 examples. I'm going to walk you through 2 examples and hope that my notes will make more sense as you do these examples yourself and do your homework assignment. I'm going to go over example 3 and example 5, okay? So example 3 is 2x cubed plus 5x squared is greater than or equal to 12x. So we have here a quadratic inequality. To solve it, we're going to get everything to one side. So move this over. Now we've got 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus 12x is greater than or equal to 0. Now this right here, this inequality tells us 2 things. We're looking for positives, and the or equal to part tells us that the circles are closed. Okay, so let's get this factored. We have a GCF here, and the GCF, think about this, is going to be x, only x, can't do 2x because this is odd right here. So we've got 2x squared plus 5x minus 12 in parentheses is greater than or equal to 0. And now we have a trinomial that we factor further. So there's a couple different methods for factoring this. There's trial and error. That's normally what I do, but there's also slip and slide. You might like that better. Some people like the M method. So go with whatever you like, but you've got to have one of these methods down. So I'm splitting it into 2x times x. Now what multiplies to negative 12? So negative 12, you could be thinking of negative 12 and 1, negative 3 and 4, negative 6 and 2, and then obviously the reverse of those. But let's see if any of these will work. So if I put a 3 here and a 4 here, in the outside, I would get 8. On the inside, I would get 3. If one of those is positive, one of those is negative, would I get a 5? Yes, that's what I'm looking for. So, all right, so let's make it, I need a positive 5, so let's make it a positive 4 here, which gives me a positive 8, right? And then I would like to subtract the 3x. So positive 8x minus 3x would give me the positive 5x. All right, x equals 0. So let's set each of these parts equal to 0. 2x minus 3 equals 0. X plus 4 equals 0. Solve. So here you've got x is negative 4. That's one of the critical values or critical points. Here we get x equals 3 over 2. Or you can call that 1.5 if you'd rather. Another critical point, and you've got x equals 0 as a critical point. So again, these are your critical values or your critical points. They're going to go on our number line because we're going to graph this out. So let me do a number line. We need 0. Let me scroll up so you can see we've got 0. We've got 1.5, and oh, it's a negative 4. So let me get it down here. Negative 4 over here. Okay. And let me just move my number line over. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph these. Oh, I did that. I've got these critical points on the number line. So now I'm going to put the 3 factors, these are the things I'm circling, onto the left side of the number line for me to plug into. Those are my 3 factors. So I'm going to do x, and then a 2x minus 3, and then an x plus 4. Okay, let me just move this over just a bit so I have more space. Okay, so I'm going to pick numbers that belong to this number line. And so basically I'm going to pick something in this region over here that's in green. Any number would work that's less than negative 4 or left of it. So I'm going to pick something easy to work with. I'm going to pick negative 10. Okay, you obviously could pick negative 5 if you want. You could pick negative 100 if you want, but something that belongs there. I'm going to use a negative 10. Then for this range, I'm going to pick something easy, so I'll go with a negative 2. Okay. From this range, I'm going to pick something easy, so I'm going to pick 1. And from this range, I'm going to pick something easy. Anything bigger than 1.5, I'm going to pick 10. It's just a nice number for me to work with, but again, you could pick differently. I'm going to use these numbers to plug into these factors, okay? So if I plug in negative 10 into this, let me change the color, into this, I get negative, or sorry, I get, just think about what sign you get. That's the thing to do. So if I plug it in, I get a negative 10, it's negative. If I plug a negative 10 into this, I get a negative 20. Negative 20 minus 3 is still negative. Okay, now let's plug it into here. Negative 10 plus 4 is negative. So now I've got those three negative signs that I'm multiplying together. Three negative signs that I'm multiplying together. What does that give me? All right, well, what's negative times negative? Negative times negative is positive. What's positive times negative? It's always negative. So these are the negative answers. Let's do the same thing for negative 2. Here we go. If I plug it into x, I get a negative. If I plug it into here, I get negative 4 minus 3, I get a negative. Negative 2, add 4 to that, I get a positive. Now let's multiply these three signs. Negative times negative is positive. Positive times positive is always positive. All right, now let's work with the number 1. Plugging 1 into x, I get a positive number. Plugging 1 into 2 times 1, I get 2. Take away 3, I get negative. 1 plus 4, I get positive. Now multiply these. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times positive is negative. Okay, our last one is 10. I get positive. 2 times 10 is 20. Take away 3, that's still positive. And then add 10 and 4, you get a positive. All right, if I multiply these positives together, I stay positive. So your signs down below go negative, positive, negative, positive. And what does this question start out as? It was a greater than or equal to, so we're looking for all of our, remember, positives, and they're going to be closed circles. The positives, let me circle them, are, oops, that's not positive. Positive is here and here. So it's in this range and this range right here. My circles are going to be closed. I will, let's make it pink. Okay, my circles are going to be closed circles and between here. Here's another closed circle on the critical value and then going to the right because it's positive. All right, so again, if you want to see that number line, final answer, here's your final answer. Closed circle at negative 4 and 0 and all the numbers in between. Closed circle at 1.5 and anything greater. Now here's how you have to be able to write it. You have to be able to understand both of these. When you do your homework, you can write either one, but you have to understand both of these in case you were tested on this. So we have brackets, not parentheses, because we are including these values. So this notation means any number between negative 4 and 0, including negative 4 and 0. Union, we have another answer coming up over here. Bracket again because of the closed circle, 1.5 comma, and then it goes all the way to infinity. And you always do a parenthesis to infinity because it's an idea that we can never capture. So here's one answer. And then the other way to write it, in some ways that's the easier way, to be honest with you. And the other way to write it is all the values of x that are between negative 4 and 0. Don't forget those equal to signs. Don't forget you've got to have the less than because x is greater than negative 4 but less than 0. Okay? Or x is greater than a 1.5. So you're going to have this answer. Either one. I think the top one might be easier for you to write if you get used to it, but so here you go. So that's number 3. Okay, now we're going to do one more example from your notes. And I thought I would pick like a harder one because I think the other ones would be kind of easier for you to understand. I'm going to do number 5. It's a little harder. 5 over x. Oh, do I want to do that one? Because it is kind of a longer problem. Okay, maybe I'll do an easier one just to keep this video short. Sorry, guys. But then you can certainly look at my notes if you need help with number 5. Okay, let's just do one of the rational inequalities, which means you have a fraction with an inequality. All right, so I'm going to do number 1 in your notes. That might be too easy. I'll do number 2. All right, so we've got 4x plus 1 over x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, here's my fraction. Less than or equal to 0. And this less than 0 is negative numbers. So we're going to look for negatives when we do our number line test. And you're going to have closed circles. But this is a little trickier. Not all circles will be closed because it's a fraction and you can never have an undefined fraction. So you do not want 0 in the denominator. So we're going to have a restriction for our domain. You're going to have numbers that cannot be 0. All right, so first, let's factor what we can. We're going to factor this denominator. So we've got 4x plus 1 over, that's just a trinomial, AM method. So a negative, negative, and it's going to be negative 3 and negative 2. Oops, negative 3 and negative 2. Oops, sorry, guys. Negative 2 and negative 3. Less than or equal to 0. Now we're going to set each piece of these equal to 0 and solve. There's one. And there's another piece. And there's another piece. Okay, so we're talking about the numerator, set it equal to 0. The denominator, set it equal to 0. This happens to have two parts at the denominator, set each part equal to 0. Let's solve. So here you have 4x equals negative 1 divided by 4. X equals negative 1/4. Here you just have x as 2. Here you have x as 3. Remember, these are your critical values going on a number line. So we've got a negative 1/4. We've got 2 and positive 3. Okay. So I said they're going to be closed, but we do have a restriction here. The thing is let's take this denominator, knowing that you cannot have x be equal to 2, because if it was equal to 2, look at what would happen. What's 2 minus 2? 0. What's 0 times anything? 0. Can't have that. So in fact, x cannot equal 2, so wherever x has a 2, you're going to just keep it open. So I'm just going to write, keep this open, because you can't include the 2, or else you have an undefined fraction. Same with the 3, though, right? So if you put a 3 in here, 3 minus 3 is 0. 0 times anything is 0. So we're going to have an undefined fraction. So keep that one open. All right. So even though we had that equal to sign, that's only for this negative 1/4. So a negative 1/4, solid or closed, and the other two are open. That's really important to understand. All right, next, we are going to do our testing. Okay, so we're going to test. What number should we pick down here? I'll pick negative 10, easy. What number between? I'm going to pick 0. That's the easiest number I could test between a negative and a positive. This is going to have to be a fraction, so I'll pick 2.5. And anything bigger than 3, I'll pick 10. Okay, what are we going to type it into or plug it into? Remember the 3 factors here. So we're going to put it into 4x plus 1. That's the first one. And that's the numerator. And then we're going to divide by what's x minus 2 and x minus 3 multiplied. All right, so let's plug in our 10. 40 plus 1, that's positive. Let me change colors. So we get a positive plugging in the 10. Plugging it into negative, this x minus 2, we still get a positive. I'm sorry, this is a negative. I didn't see that. Let's try this again. So this is going to be, if you guys noticed I was doing that wrong, good. So this is going to be a negative, because it's negative 40 plus 1. This is going to be negative, and this is going to be negative, because it'll be negative 13. All right, if I multiply these, I get a positive. What's a negative divided by a positive? A negative. All right, here comes 0. I get a positive number, because I get 0 plus 1. Then I get negative, then I get negative. If I multiply two negatives, I get a positive. Positive divided by positive, positive. All right, 2.5. So 4 times 2.5 plus 1, it's positive. 2.5 minus 2, it's positive. 2.5 take away 3, that's negative. Multiply these, you get negative. Positive divided by negative is negative. Plugging in our 10, we get 41, that's positive. We get positive, we get positive. Well, this is going to be a positive, this is going to be positive. All right, so we are looking for less than or equal. So we are looking for those negatives. So let's circle all of our negatives that we ended up with on the number line. The negative final answer and the negative final answer. So we would like to use, I'll use orange. We want to go this way with our answer. So we're going towards that negative answer, right? And then we want to use in between the 2 and the 3. So this is our final answer. Let me write it again so you can see better. Closed circle at negative 1/4, going left towards negative infinity. open circles for 2 and 3, and in between. How do we write that with the notation? Okay, so we're going to write, it's always a parenthesis, negative infinity comes first, all the way up to negative 1/4, and we're going to use a bracket because it's included, right? Or, the U, it means or, union, parenthesis, parenthesis, because they're open, 2 to 3. So we're not including 2 and 3, or else you would have an undefined fraction. This is your answer, and you need the number line. Another way to write the answer is that it's any number less than or equal to 1/4, or it's any answer between 2 and 3. There you have it, guys. Hope this 15-minute video helped you. Make sure to try those homework examples, even if it's every other one. Make sure you have a good handle on this, and then I'll have a quizzes ready for you. Thanks.